big hello and a very warm welcome to a special show right here on ET Now. Today I'm joined by the P&G India CEO, Madhusudan Gopalan. It's been about 12 months since he's taken over as the India head, and he's the man all eyes are set on to deliver growth for P&G right here in India. Thank you so much for joining us, Madhu. Truly a pleasure to have you on ET Now.
Pleasure talking with you.
And you finished 1 year now as the P&G CEO.
That's right.
That's quite an assignment you've taken up, coming straight in from Indonesia and to such a large market like India.
Absolutely. Well, it's always a dream job for anyone who joins a company to run their home country. So I'm very pleased to be here. Equally excited with the results that we've been seeing over the last 2 quarters. Last 2 quarters, our top line growth has been very, very strong. We've done about 15% growth now for the last 2 quarters. Very pleased with the bottom line results as well.
Right.
So I think the strategies we put in place have started to show the results that we need to see.
So, Madhu, if I could call you that.
Please.
Before we come to the stellar numbers that you have actually displayed over the last 2 quarters, can you take me back to the slowdown of momentum that Procter actually faced in the India market in particular? What do you think the key reasons were when you took over as CEO? What were the key challenges you identified? And where are you in your journey of actually assessing and fixing them?
The key task that we set for ourselves is to drive top line, bottom line and cash balanced result. Because whenever we've done these out of balance, we've not managed to deliver sustained results. So that's one of the key focuses we've done, what we call as OTSR or operating total shareholder return.
Okay.
Now, to deliver these 3 in synchronization is not going to be easy.
Sure.
So the strategy that we put in place is a strategy covering 3 areas. The first is a strategy focused on superiority. Superiority on 5 vectors, which is around product, packaging, communication, go-to-market and value. In India, we made multiple interventions on each of those 3 areas. Areas around Whisper, for example, where we've innovated and brought to market an affordable 25 rupee price point on Whisper Choice Aloe Vera. We've innovated at the top end on our Whisper Ultra. We've gotten a Mark III Start, which is a product aimed at the young consumer.
Right.
We brought in top tier innovation on Pampers, which was first in the world that was launched in India.
Okay.
So the multiple areas that we did in terms of driving superiority on our products.
Sure.
The second key area of focus has been productivity. This has been a key change where to fuel these investments on superiority and to grow profit, we need to drive and step change our productivity. The key change we've done here is been to have productivity hardwired as a focus for everybody in the organization and not just folks working in finance or purchasing.
Okay.
So this has been a key change and that has given us very strong results, which has helped us drive both top line investments and grow our profitability.
The main real thrust in terms of, now a revival being seen has really been in the way that you've been very aggressive with your innovations in the market. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a very good point. Innovation has been one big driver of focus. On the growth side, along with innovation also has been the focus we put on category growth.
Okay.
As you know, we're the market leader in most of the categories we play in. So growing category is a key focus for us.
Okay.
So we've redoubled our efforts on interventions to grow categories faster.
Okay.
Be it in terms of the interventions we do on product, making the products at the affordable pack sizes available at the length and breadth of the country. A big focus has been in terms of go-to-market, where we're driving our distribution deeper. So growing categories faster has been an equal contributor as has been innovation. But a big driver of our category growth in many of our categories has also been trade up. So people moving from a smaller pack size to a bigger pack size, people moving from an affordable mid-tier to a premium tier. So that has been a key focus for us, will continue to be a key focus for us, and that has been frankly a big driver of our growth in the last few quarters.
Okay.
2 quarters for sure,
Okay.
as much as more people coming into the category as well. So affordability is a focus, but the growth we are getting from people trading up or using more has been a strong contributor of category growth.
That's interesting that you say. So you're actually saying from a consumer behavior standpoint, where you're seeing more people actually trade up than trade down. Is that the general sentiment you're seeing?
Correct. So it's a good question. There are the two biggest drivers of growth we are seeing is people coming into the category for the first time.
Okay.
Because for a
Samplers.
lot of correct. So for a lot of categories like sanitary napkin, diaper, that has been a big focus.
Sure.
a key focus has also been people moving up. So for example, one of the most successful parts of our portfolio is Gillette Guard, which is an entry-level system, and people using the double-edged blade,
Yeah.
which is available for 3 rupees and 4 rupees.
Right.
They're trading up to this Gillette Guard.
Right.
So the trade-up story is as equal a contributor as the trade-in story in terms of total category.
So you're saying that the ratio would be what, 50-50?
Differs by category,
Yeah.
but I would say
Overall?
broadly they would be equal contributors across our business.
Wow. Okay, that's encouraging. Yeah. How has life post GST been for you? Has there been a significant change in terms of, because earlier the theories were that there would be this whole unorganized versus organized. Has that all those narratives actually come true?
Yeah, it's a good question. The GST has been overall, I think, a very positive move for the industry. The two areas where we clearly see positive is one, it does, as you rightly say, clear level playing field.
Has it?
We believe it has. Now, obviously, you can't put a finger and say how much of the growth is coming from which.
Sure, okay.
But it definitely is positive from an ease of doing business that it has created a level playing field. The second area where we're seeing a big benefit is on supply chain. So we are actually in the middle of a big supply chain reinvention where we're going from a tax-driven network to a demand-driven network.
Okay.
And a lot of the cutting-edge analytics and machine learning work that we are putting in place, we are able to put those solutions into implementation because we can now design a supply chain based on what is right to get the product to the consumer at the lowest cost, as opposed to that being driven by tax reasons. So we're certainly seeing a benefit on that front as well behind GST.
Okay. I want to talk about Gillette because you brought up Gillette and how you've also been innovating there and looked at people uptrading there. How is this whole new upstarts in the shaving business impacted such a mammoth brand like Gillette? It's a big hitter in the market, but we just saw Bombay Shaving Company get acquired. We have Let's Shave. How are these? And even globally, it's a trend. But the Dollar Shaving Club, etc. How is that really impacting the very traditional shaving category?
Yeah. Let me start by saying that we've had probably among our best 2 quarters on Gillette in the last 2 quarters. In terms of overall top line and bottom line, we're doing well. Even in a category where we're a market leader, we continue to grow share.
Okay.
Right. So that's in terms of what results and the numbers speak.
Right.
In terms of our strategy, our focus is 2. Number 1, we want to focus and ensure we play in every price point. India is one of the unique countries where Gillette has a portfolio that spans across the spectrum.
Sure.
Everything from 3 rupees to 20 rupees to 60 to 170 to all the way up to 400.
Right.
So a key focus for us is as long as we offer consumers at every segment a great proposition, then Gillette will always be one of the brands that they prefer.
Sure.
A second area of focus has been for us to play across channels. India is very unique in terms of our retail landscape is evolving.
Sure.
We still have half the stores in the world being present in India. At the same time, modern retail and e-commerce is growing very fast as well.
Absolutely.
So we have put in place interventions to make sure that we're winning across every part of the channel landscape.
Okay.
In all our brands, including Gillette. So we continue to see good, strong progress across all parts of our portfolio.
I want to talk specifically of the Indian female hygiene market, and you are leaders there with Whisper. What is the penetration right now looking like in the Indian context, and what are the big challenges that a company like yours faces, because it's such a big investor in this category, to actually push forward? Because I believe the current growth rate or the penetration rate is only around 15%. Am I actually accurate or off the mark there?
It's closer to 20%.
Closer to 20%. Okay.
Now, the good news and the opportunity, right? The good news is, since the time Whisper came into the market close to 30 years back, penetration has exploded. It's gone up multiple times in India in terms of number of people who use sanitary napkins, which is why Whisper continues to be one of our biggest and healthiest brands in our portfolio. Having said that, you're absolutely right. 4 among 5 Indian consumers don't use a sanitary napkin. Even in urban India, 1 out of 2 consumers don't use a sanitary napkin. So there's a huge opportunity to drive growth. Our focus on driving the category growth has been in terms of 1, making people aware of the need for sanitary napkin. one of the things, while affordability is very important, which is why we have innovation on the 25 rupee price point.
Sure.
One of the big reasons people also don't use sanitary napkin is acceptance. Whether this is the right thing for me or not.
Yeah.
Because it's possible that the mother has not used it and so it's not being passed on as well.
Sure.
So a big focus area for us is in terms of driving acceptance, as much as we continue to focus on affordability at every price point. Between these two, in the last 6 months, we have seen positive progress in terms of category accelerating, but there's a lot of opportunity to grow the category even faster.
Do you think that this particular category, because it's so unpenetrated, is already seeing several entrants? Of course, they're not established like you, but you see several entrants who are entering the space, which could technically lead to a large price war. Because I'm not sure, I mean, you can correct me and tell me, I'm not sure how brand conscious, a consumer who is, let's say, not from urban India is about sanitary napkins. So let's say that, do you see this category going into a price war and hence actually the margins kind of getting a bit diluted in this category?
Yeah, it's a great question. In fact, if you look at brand loyalty or brand consciousness, we actually see that even higher in rural areas than urban
Really?
areas. Yes.
Wow.
Right? Now, the only factor, there's a big caveat to that, is you need to be available. If you are available, because that's a big challenge in rural, as you know, if you're available, then having a branded product, because consumers don't have access to multiple products, the critical difference also is if I am a consumer with a daily income, for me to make a mistake on buying a single pack of a sachet or a diaper is much more than you or me making a mistake on a bottle of shampoo.
Sure.
Right? So their tolerance level is much lower and the standard is much higher. So we actually see the opposite playing out in a lot of places in rural. Having said that, what is key is we need to offer consumers a great product at affordable value. And our focus has been on doing both. Because if we focus only on affordability and not give them the right product, if a consumer is using cloth, she doesn't see that much of a benefit.
She's going to
go back in a day.
Yeah, sure.
So that's the balance that we are striking.
That's true. I'm glad you brought up rural. I'd really like to know how the rural story has panned out, because I believe, close to about, 5 or 6 years ago, the rural story was a big bet for most, FMCG players. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way they envisaged it. The rural growth story was not so encouraging. What is your, point of view on the rural story, and how much do you think the rural story will actually perform and deliver for, large companies like yours?
We're very optimistic. What we call as urban, right, which is top end of rural and lower end of urban, is an area where we've seen very strong growth across our categories for our brands as well. In fact, some of our big brands are highly developed in rural. Close to 40% of the business for some of our big brands come from rural. P&G brands are available in about 7 million stores. So we have depth of distribution in many brands reaching into rural. And the urban area is an area we see strong growth, and we are very optimistic about the future. Because what's happening is, as you know, it's not just the disposable incomes are going up, but lifestyles are changing and access to information has dramatically gone up.
Sure.
Right? So as a combination of these three factors, we're very optimistic of the growth potential there. Our focus area for winning in this urban area is to, one, make affordable pack sizes, to make this outlay conscious consumer, make it available. Second is to ensure our media reaches them at the right touch points. And third is we continue to redouble our focus on distribution to make sure depth and breadth of distribution is available. Behind these three pillars, we're very optimistic about our prospects in the urban segment moving forward.
But would I be right in saying that, I don't know, urban or rural, as was called before, has actually not delivered despite the amount of investments that large companies have made in the space, with their, crystal gazing that would be the big growth story would actually come from rural? Would I be right in saying that part or that piece has not really delivered?
I'm not too familiar with the story 2 to 3 years back.
Sure.
But in the last 1 year, speaking for P&G, our investments are paying off in that area. And the way we look at investments is we want to make sure that we invest in products where we think the products have a chance in winning the consumer with a solution she doesn't have now. As long as we are clear that we have such a solution available and our investments have a return, we continue to invest on those areas. So where we made a choice to do that, we've seen very good, strong result. Head and Shoulder is a great example where we've recently become the market leader in India on the overall hair care shampoo segment. And that growth has come as much from rural as it has come from urban. Vicks is another area where we're seeing very strong growth, and a big part of the Vicks business comes from rural as well, and where we put targeted investments in growing our business as well in the rural area.
Madhu, there is a view that, there is the economy has softened, and going forward it will soften further for whatever reasons, which I don't want to get into at this point. But, that's the broad narrative we're hearing. In this scenario, going forward, do you think, in terms of volume growth, companies such as yours and P&G in particular can actually meet, expectations or actually beat expectations?
The macroeconomic factors do contribute to the overall growth.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
But for a lot of our categories, we play a critical role also on the growth driver. Okay. So as we look at our strategy moving forward, we are putting less emphasis on the crystal grazing on the macroeconomic, because as you rightly said, it's anybody's guess, right? Whether it will be plus 2 points or minus 2 points in terms of total FMCG growth.
Right.
But what we're putting a lot more focus on is our interventions on driving category growth. So our definite focus and interventions are which are the interventions which will get more consumers to trade in, which are the interventions that will drive more trade up.
Okay.
And we are being very balanced in ensuring that our productivity efforts are sufficient to fund this, so that as a combination of these two, there is balanced top line and bottom.
As a P&G lifer, right? Because you spent several years.
You said that 2 times already.
Yeah. You must have also, and when you got this plum assignment, which is everybody's dream to be the CEO of the India market, you must have studied the market pretty deeply before coming in, just to look at what history has thrown up. And, so if you look at the performance of P&G, let's say over a period of time, and you look at their growth trajectory, it was pretty good until 2015, and then we saw a bit of a slide. Could you explain to me why that happened?
Yeah, I think the 3 areas, as I looked back, as I came in and I looked back at both our history in India, and as I looked at the marketplace, because market did evolve the 8 years that I was outside India as well. I think the first thing which was very clear to me was we need to be very disciplined on driving the balance on top line, bottom line and cash. Because a lot of times it is easy to say that, okay, let me prioritize top line for some time and then bottom line will come. Or it's sometimes easy to say, let me prioritize bottom line for some time, top line can come. So one of the first things that we said is a key focus for us moving forward is there is not going to be a choice between the 3. There is not going to be a choice between the 3 even within a year. So within a year, it's not going to be that this year I will drive top line, next year I will drive bottom line. Every year as a company, we need to drive top line, bottom line and cash.
Okay.
And that was not just a declaration of a statement, we've made that a key expectation across our leaders in the organization. So people will be rewarded only on basis of delivery of top line, bottom line and cash, and not one or the other.
Okay.
So that's a key area of focus for us.
How did you come to this realization?
I think 2 things. One is just looking back at our own areas where we've succeeded, because even when there are times where we've done well and not so well, in every one of those pockets, there were brands and businesses which managed to somehow get the top line, bottom line and cash coming together.
Okay.
So clearly there was a success model. We just needed to get that success model broadly across. The second big focus for us was in terms of organization. So clearly we are blessed with a very talented organization. The organization needed to be made more empowered, free them up for taking decisions on people who are closer to the market, drive more category expertise, which is the focus that we've called it as a country. And that put together, I think, has been the catalyst in terms of delivering our results globally and in India. And if we do our job well in executing this moving forward, we're optimistic about the future as well.
I want to talk specifically about PGHS. There is a view that in this particular company, you have Whisper, Vicks, and you have Old Spice, right? All these three are seated within this particular company.
Yeah.
Out of which your most star and profitable brands would be Whisper and Vicks.
Yeah.
In that mix, there is a concern that if, let us say, at any point, if one or two of these top brands of yours would sit within this entity, are, let's say, a bit shaken because of intensifying competition, price wars, whatever it is, then that entire company will also, there will be a bit of a shakedown. Would you agree with that concern? Is it a valid concern?
Right. In fact, let me broaden that question. As a company globally, we've chosen 10 category axes to play in, right? And these are 2 of the 10 categories that you refer to, right? The ask the company has from me and the India organization is to grow every single category, right? So there is a clear focus on category expertise and category growth, right? So we structured around categories, and we're looking at having the right plans in place in terms of organization, innovation, and right levels of investment at a category level.
Sure.
And so our focus is to ensure that every single category will deliver the right top line and bottom line result. There is no flexibility to say you can grow in 3 categories this year and not grow in 2 categories. So with that being the case, well, there'll obviously be challenges from quarter to quarter, year to year. I think we are pretty confident on the way we have designed and the way we are operating to be able to deliver sustained growth in each of the categories we play in from year on year.
I want to talk a little bit about the multi-million-dollar fund that you have created to invest in Indian startups. How is that going? How successful have you been in identifying, really edgy, new age startups that will actually fuel the entire company's ecosystem?
I've been very pleased with the response we've got so far. We've in fact seen some of these partnerships get into market as well. Now, one of the things I want to point out is, well, typically when we talk about these innovation funds, we say we look at it more from a seed funding in those startups.
Yeah.
And we continue to look at opportunities for that. The bigger opportunity we are seeing as we dialogue with these startups is they're looking for big players in the market who have the market know-how to partner with them to bring those solutions to market.
Okay.
Because for a lot of these startups, there are 2 things that they say that they need today. One is they've got solutions, but those solutions are not cut-paste solutions that you can put in market. So somebody needs to work with them to tailor-make those solutions in a way that they win in marketplace. Second is they need a test ground and a playground to actually do it in a live scenario. Now, both of these also require investment from us. Investment in terms of funding, investment in terms of people. But the experience that we've got in the last few months is in that area where we've worked and partnered with them to tailor-make the solution to bring it to market and given them the proof of concept to actually work in market, the feedback we've got from startups has been very positive that this is as valuable, if not more valuable, than the seed funding they need to scale up their operations. So while we continue to look at opportunities on seed funding and so on, a big focus for us currently is in terms of partnering with them to co-create solutions to bring them to market and scale up. As we speak, we have some exciting solutions that we've already brought to the market in the supply chain, go-to-market land, and we'll continue to look for opportunities.
So how many startups would you have partnered with?
Several.
You don't have. You don't want to put a number.
I won't put a number, but several.
Okay.
And interestingly, one of the side benefits we didn't anticipate that we are seeing now is a large part of our organization in different areas that they work on have now started to work with these startups. And we're getting a positive impact in terms of organization also, where they're looking at working in an entrepreneurial way, working in an innovation space. So there is a big benefit we're also seeing in terms of organization, engagement, morale and culture because of the work we've started on this innovation space.
Last question before I let you go. Is there a possibility that, as you work on your different brands and different portfolios and make them more robust and, more profitable, that you will possibly look at shifting some of those brands onto the listed entity, or would that not be a possibility?
Yeah. I can't specifically answer that question, but I will tell you what my focus is. I think our focus is how do we simplify our work for our organization to help them focus relentlessly on consumers and customers. There's a big change we've done globally, as you know, in terms of our go-to-market, our organization design, and our culture, which has resulted in very positive results globally in India. And there is still more work to be done in that case. So that is what keeps me up at night in terms of the focus, and that we are very confident is going to be sufficient for us to deliver our growth targets on top line and bottom line.
Okay, fair enough. On that note, thank you so much for your time, Madhu, and many congratulations on the stellar numbers in the last 2 quarters. Any guidance on what you'll close the year with?
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet us. I can't give you any specific guidance, but it's been a pleasure meeting you and talking with you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.